All right, we got mics on both sides. Just go ahead and start when you guys are ready.
You guys have been practicing quite a while. What stood out to you that might be a strength or a weakness of the club?
Well, we've been going, basically every day, not every day, but most every day, since June, when school started, June 3rd, June 4th or whatnot. So, and certainly been hitting it pretty hard since school started. I would say the thing that stands out to me more than anything is probably just options. More bodies, more athletes. I think we shoot it better, even though, there'll be some days we don't, but I do think we're a much better shooting team. And I think we've been helped ourselves athletically for sure. So there's a lot of things that I think potentially we could do well, a lot of things we don't do very well at all right now, but it is a different looking team physically than what we've had this past year.
Hey, Coach. All of the players were talking about Zeke Mayo and his athleticism. I know you have high praises to say about him too. Just what can Kansas fans expect to see from him if they've never seen him play before?
Zeke, he hasn't been quite as good here of late as what he was before, but from early summer to now, you can make a strong case he's been our best overall performer day in and day out. What people will be impressed with are people that understand ball, because he's just a ball player. He understands time, score, momentum. He understands reads. He understands how to make the game easier for others. A lot of things that he does so well, if you don't really know the game, you may not notice. But as far, he can make a pass to start a play and have it be just as important as the person that makes the pass to finish the play, and he'll not get any credit for it, but he's the one who actually made the play. And he's a terrific shooter. So we're fortunate we got him, and certainly love having him back in his hometown for his last go around, because he's definitely going to be an impact player for us.
Bill, I think you mentioned earlier this summer how impressed you were by Flory, and a lot of these guys were talking about how impressive he's looked. What have you seen in his development since he stepped on?
Hey, Flory gets better every day. I mean, and you don't make major jumps every day, but incrementally he's gotten better every day. And there's some things he doesn't do well, and he's not going to do well for a while, but he's getting better at those things. But there's things that you just can't teach. Just that motor, the quickness off his feet, second jump, blocking, altering, running. He is a terrific quick twitch athlete, and I think he and Hunter combined, give us a change of pace guy that's certainly different than Hunt. That's so much different because the way he scores is putting pressure on the rim, and the way Hunt scores is through skill. So I think they're going to complement each other very well.
And you mentioned some of the things that are going to take more time. What are examples of that?
See what?
You mentioned some things going to take more time.
Oh, just scoring the ball naturally, range, things like that. I mean, he's gotten much better at that, but he's not Hunter scoring the basketball, though, not yet.
Coach, the guys you brought in this transfer class, what did you see in each of them that made you want to bring them in? Because it's a big transfer class.
Well, it's a big transfer class, but we had big numbers to try to sign too, so you had to have a big transfer class. So from my vantage point, it's a little misleading because we were down 3 last year without anybody leaving, because we elected to take 2 scholarships and then we let a youngster, obviously go before the season started. So that's 3 we're down right there. That puts us at 10. And then if you look at what's returning, then Marco gets hurt, that puts us at 9. We still could go, 4 more. And what we did was, we did actually go 4 more, and we could really go 6 more because, obviously Kevin and Johnny left, and so, I like our class. LeBaron, who obviously we were excited about, but he elected to go to Alabama, go back home, late, so Marco gets hurt. We've lost 2 guards, so you gotta go out and get 2 guards, and fortunately, we were able to go out and get 3, with Zeke and David, and with Shaq. And David and Shaq are different, but they're both ball handling, playmaking guards, which is something that we desperately needed last year. We didn't have anybody other than Juan that was really a playmaker type. So they're both gonna be very important. And then AJ and Rylan, we felt like we need to get scoring. And they're both, effective at that. And Rylan's a really good shooter. AJ is a good shooter and a terrific scorer. So they'll both help us in that regard. And then you fill in with, obviously, Flory and Rockies. So it's a big class, but I don't think that's gonna be unusual moving forward. I think a lot of people are gonna have big classes moving forward because of the portal.
Bill, the first one is about portal actually. I'm curious if you think the changes to the window, shortening it, is gonna make any difference. Do you like it? Is it good for players? Is it good for programs?
My opinions don't mean anything, and trust me, the NCAA is not gonna listen to me anyway. But the windows, cutting it from 40 to 30, from 45 to 30 is good. I don't like when it starts the Monday after the first weekend, or is it the second weekend, or whatever. I can't remember which one it is. I wish it started at the same point for everybody, because teams that are participating, it's not gonna be near as important to them to get involved with the portal until their season is actually over. Even though assistant coaches will dabble and do all that stuff, but the head coach probably won't be as actively involved. So that kind of reduces your recruiting days a little bit. So kids that are getting into portal to make their decision immediately, I don't think that plays to those teams that are still participating equally. But it's still better than it was. 45 is too long. But what people don't understand, 30 doesn't mean they have to make their decision in 30. 30 means, if I'm not mistaken, they have to enter within 30. Then they still get 3 months to make their decision after the 30. So it's gonna help in some ways. So schools will have a sooner understanding on who their roster is that's actually returning, rather than kids wait until the 44th or 45th day to say, I'm gonna enter the portal. So that's all positive. I don't know that I totally buy into the exact dates, but it's still better than what it was, without question.
And then my other one, Juan and KJ are extreme rarities now, right? 2 guys that have been at a single program for 4 years, but also were major contributors for 4 years. What does that mean to the fabric of a program to have that kind of 2 guys that have been there that long?
I actually think you're gonna see a lot of 4th and 5th year players across college basketball this year. Majority of them will be transfers.
Right.
That go to their programs. You look at, Houston down there with Roberts, a 5th year senior that has been in the program, if I'm not mistaken, the entire time. There's gonna be people in our league that have players like this. But the reality of getting old and staying old actually has more relevance if it's people that's been in your program a while, so it's not new to everybody. So, yeah, Juan and KJ, more so even than Hunt, they're gonna be the face of our program as much as anybody. Maybe more so just because they've been with us the longest, and I think our fan base can identify with them the best, in large part because they've helped raise these guys, which I think fans take great pride in doing when kids become seniors, especially if they've been with you the entire time. So yeah, having Juan and KJ is something that makes up for a lot of early season hype on young kids, because those young kids are still 18 or 19-year-olds competing against a 22 or 23-year-old. So at the end of the day.
you said this offseason that last year, KJ, Hunter, DeJuan weren't necessarily at their ideal minutes per game, and that you might want to scale that back this year. KJ had 33 minutes per game, Hunter 32, DeJuan 35.
That's not really real though, because in games that are close, they probably had 37, 36, and 35.
Right.
Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
So the amount of minutes that you actually said right there is less than what they actually played in most big games. So the fact that I would like to get those guys all under 30. I think we'll be a better team if we can get them all under 30, and that allows for more guys to be contributors and good players to actually play a role in the success of what's going on.
Hey, Coach, I'm gonna just ask you to look ahead.
What are you doing? Are you filming this and
I'm trying to
you
get-
got your computer, you got a
Yeah.
microphone in one hand and a camera?
Yeah.
He's hustling right now.
Obviously, today you guys were picked preseason #1 for the second straight year. 2021-22, you won the title, and then the last 2 years, first weekend knockouts. Is it, every year's important year in the tournament, but with what you have coming back and what you brought in, is it important, maybe even a little bit more to make a run this March?
Well, I would say every year that you do it, it's really important that year to make a run, Shay. Yeah, the last 2 years, we've been first weekend knockouts. Arkansas got us, and then last year Gonzaga obviously whipped us good in the second, in the second game. You guys know as well as I do, both of those teams got knocked out and neither were whole when they were actually competing there at the end. I'm not saying I would have made much of a difference, but I would have liked to have coached in the NCAA tournament that year. And then of course, last year we if I'm not mistaken, the Big 12 tournament, Hunt and Kevin didn't play. I mean, that was not a very good team we were putting out there at the end. And I know Hunt played in the tournament, but he wasn't 100%. So I thought last year felt a lot like USC to me. Because I didn't think we were competitive late. And I don't think that team that lost to USC was competitive either after David and obviously Jalen got COVID that week. So I don't think that was a team that was whole either. But I do think it was very apparent after that year that we needed to adjust. And fortunately we did, but the way we adjusted wasn't the way I intended for us to adjust. I thought we'd really go out and recruit a plethora of guys that was different than what we had, and what ended up winning the next year was the exact same dudes, just got a lot better. And with the one addition, and then Remy. And then this year we kind of took a different approach. We need to improve ourselves physically and athletically, and I think we did. So the last 2 years haven't set well with any of us. But I think last year hurt more than the year before, because I think the year before we can maybe say, but you won it the year before or this or that. Last year, no, we got our butts whipped, and so I think it does add some extra initiative or motivation that this year doesn't need to be like that.
Coach, you're ranked #1 in the AP overall for the preseason. Do you feel like you have a target on your back, and does that ranking motivate you to pick up from where you left off last year?
Well, I actually hope that where we left off last year is forgotten. I'm actually hoping for a fresh, we're not even gonna talk about last year, the way it ended, at least in my mind. I also think that, I've coached here for 22 years now, and I think there's kind of been a bullseye or a target for a long time. And I told our players that we should welcome it, because it's gonna be there regardless. And the fact of the matter is, playing under duress is the best thing a team can go through during a regular season to prepare you for the most important games later season. So if we were preseason 5, there would still be a target. Being preseason, where they have us right now in the AP means nothing. Good recruiting mail out maybe, but it doesn't, if schools even do that anymore. I don't even know if schools do mail outs anymore. But it is something that I'd rather be that than not. But the bottom line, it doesn't mean anything, but we need to learn how to play under pressure anyway. UConn's gonna be the back-to-back defending national champs. There's gonna be a bullseye on their back. Houston will have a bullseye on their back. They're returning all their guys. I mean, there's gonna be multiple schools that have a bullseye, and some schools that are up there that hasn't been up there a lot, and so it's a whole different world to them, which is new and exciting, but it also comes with different pressures. I think operating under duress and pressure is good, even though with our schedule, as you guys know, it's not the schedule that you run the table with. It's a schedule, just, hey, let's play the best competition and win as many as we can, and learn from our wins and learn from our losses, and how do we get better? Because I think this is a team that is going to put itself in a position to play against most every scenario that they could come across late season, that hopefully we'll be better prepared for.
I was talking to David about his portal recruitment. He said he feels like he was the easiest player maybe you've had to recruit. Can you talk about what it looked like getting him to come here, and maybe what you feel like his role will be?
Who?
David Coit.
Oh, okay, Diggy. I
There
don't
you
even
go.
know his first name. I thought his name was Diggy. He was a unique get because we wanted him before we got Shaq. We get Shaq and Marco gets hurt, so now we need to find another player. And he didn't become eligible until July, and we get him late because Coach Case had already done a good job with him. And we had him really interested. When we told him early on, we can't take you because we don't know for sure you're gonna be eligible. And have you guys all followed his story? I mean, it's a good story, and I'm sure you guys will dive into it and tell it throughout the year, but it's a good story, but I like him because at his standing height of 5'9" maybe, he thinks he's still the biggest, baddest dude in the room. And that is something that you have to have. And he brings a confidence and not an arrogance, but a confidence and a will that I think is welcome with this team, because this team, one thing that we definitely needed to do late was, if we're gonna sign somebody, you need to have personality. And he's got personality, and guys will feed off of that.
Got time for a couple more?
With Shaquille, when he is back healthy, what do you feel like he provides?
I think I think Shaquille could be our best on the ball defender. He's not a scorer, but he can make a shot. But I think he's our best on ball defender. Potentially, he knows how to play. He's smart. It's his 5th year. He's been in the ACC, been in the SEC. So I think that it hurt him personally that he's been out. It's probably helped some others to allow them more opportunities early. But I can't see a reason health-wise that he can't be close to full speed by the first week in November, something like that.
Coach, compared to when you first started here, with the new era of the transfer portal and NIL, would you say that it's easier or more difficult to build a team, or what is your stance on that?
Yes. I would say it's easier to build a team back then with young guys, because young guys stayed. They didn't transfer. Not very many did here. So we could recruit a freshman and we could sell him that when Aaron Miles leaves, you're gonna have a chance to replace him. Until then, you'll learn under him. That's not a great recruiting pitch these days. So that made it easier, is that you had guys in your program probably longer. The great thing about the portal, if there is many great things, is the fact that you have a chance to get well quicker if something unexpected happens. So, for instance, a guy leaves to go to the league that you never anticipated leaving at that time. You thought he'd stick around another year. I.e., Johnny. We knew by January, there's a good chance we'd lose Johnny. But in the early signing period, we didn't think Johnny was gonna leave after 1 year, so we didn't need to recruit that position. Well, we find out we do later after he kind of turns it on. If that had been back in the old day, you couldn't have recruited the quality of Johnny because he would have to come in and sit out a year because the best freshmen were already signed in November. Because of the portal, you can quick fix it quicker. So which actually makes for a better team immediately. So to answer your question, they both have their advantages. I'd say, coaching guys that's been in your program multiple years has probably been the formula that's worked best for us. If you go back and look at our teams that have been really good, it's because guys have been with us a while. Very rarely it's been strictly because of freshmen. It's been because guys have been in the program and understood and all that stuff. And so, the 2 we won was like that. But with unexpected things happening, today's times are much better to get back well.
Do you envision maybe redshirting anybody?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know exactly how it's gonna play out, but I think so. Freshmen, Flory obviously won't, and I'm not saying Rockies will at all, but at least freshmen get to play in the exhibition games before you make that decision. A guy that's in your program and healthy, to my understanding, if they play in the exhibition games, it's the same as playing a regular season game from a redshirt situation. So if anybody doesn't play like against Arkansas, don't read into it that they're definitely redshirting. Read into it that we probably hadn't made a decision yet on how much they can actually help us this particular year based on what our needs are.
What's the health situation besides Shaq?
Actually, not bad. Shaq and Marco, but Marco, just so you guys know, he's not going to be able to do anything till May or June. But as far as on court, full speed type activity, and then Shaq, we're hopeful by next week he's out there moving, cutting, doing all that stuff. Not full speed in the following week. We hope he's in full practice within a couple of weeks.
Finally, what about late night on Friday? What do you want out of it? What do you think the fans will think of the news? Improvements and late night number 40?
I was actually here for the first one. We wore jams. Does anybody remember what jams are? The shorts? That's what we wore. Larry thought those were cool, so that's what we did back in the day. I think it'll be great. I think our guys will be more excited about it this year because we haven't been in the arena yet. So that'll be the first time. The first time a lot of them have really had a chance to do much in the arena. We're going to go out there and practice today in it for the first time. The arena is great. I don't know that pictures actually do it justice. It's a brand new shiny penny. I mean, it's a shiny penny that's not brand new, obviously, but it looks great. The video board and everything's going to be fabulous. New sound system. The amenities in the concourses are going to be great. Fans will really appreciate it and like it a lot more, in my opinion. So I'm excited about that. We reduced capacity some because you got no choice to, because you had to move things that were on the third floor into the corners, because there's the building was built 70 years ago. There's some things that you have to do with the building that old that maybe you don't have to do with one that was built 5 or 10 years ago. But it's going to have the modern amenities of the newest places, but still the coolness of one that the walls still sweat, and it makes this place the best place to play.
Just looking back at your time here, as your approach to recruiting for late night changed in terms of the number of guys you bring in?
Yeah, that's a unique question, Shay, but a good one though, because I think it has changed. I don't think late night from a recruiting standpoint is as big a deal as it used to be. I think it used to be the event that everybody tried to get guys to go. We used to schedule our late nights along with the other schools scheduled around our late nights. So if we had it this weekend, Duke had a different weekend, Kentucky had a different weekend, you know, blah, 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 blah. In large part, so that way the best players would all have an opportunity to go to those respective schools that's recruiting all of them. And it was the best selling point. Now, to be honest with you, we'd like to get kids here for late night. It's great and everything, but with kids taking unlimited visits and all the things going on, we looked at it a little bit differently. Like this year is, let's get them in just as whenever we can. And the negative thing, the best thing about late night in the past, it happened on the first practice. Because our building wasn't available to us till October 18th, it happens 4 weeks after the first practice, which kids are already making their decisions. So we roll the dice to try to get kids to visit earlier for the most part, to give them a chance to make a decision, at least seeing our place. So this year, I mean, we're gonna have kids here, but it's not gonna be something where, I mean, in the past, we've had like 5 or 7 official visits and 10 unofficial visits. It won't be like that this year.
All right, Coach, thanks, Coach.
Okay, thanks.